What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, well-renowned trainer, ISMAEL Salas, he did an interview today, gave an update on former WBA welterweight world champion, Cuban star boxer Yordenis Ugas, his status, his ring return. He also discussed the upcoming mega undisputed showdown between undefeated, newly crowned 3-belt unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer ERROL the True Spence Jr., who is widely considered top 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Obviously, ERROL Spence and Yordenis Ugas, that was their last fight. So with that said, he weighed in on ERROL Spence, facing off against undefeated 3-division world champion, who is the reigning WBO welterweight world champion and widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terrence Boy Crawford. ERROL Spence, Terrence Crawford make for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. Okay. With that said, ISMAEL Salas, we know in the fight, it was reported that Yordenis Ugas suffered broken ribs, broken nose, and the worst of them all was a broken right orbital bone. Okay, and he said that, Yordenis Ugas is still top 4 best welterweights in the world, and that they're looking to fight the best welterweights in the world. They're not looking to fight the new age, new era of upcoming fighters. He was asked about Yordenis Ugas possibly fighting Jerron Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, Conor Ben, Rashidi Ellis, those levels of fighters, and he said that's not in their plans. Okay, Yordenis Ugas is focusing on the guys at the top, and he stated that Yordenis Ugas is looking to make a ring return in 6 months. They stated that they can't have too much time elapsed in between fights. So even though he suffered the injury, he said he feels well to be in such a brutal fight with ERROL Spence, a fight of that magnitude, a rough, rugged fight of that magnitude. He stated that to be in such a grueling fight, that he stated that that he feels well. Okay, he's doing good. He says he has a little soreness and tenderness around the eye, but he stated that he's doing well, and they expect to be back in the ring, and he's looking to fight former unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. Keith Thurman is now 30 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'7.5" with a 69-inch arm reach. Okay, so he stated that Keith Thurman is the target fight for them. Okay, Yordenis Ugas is now 27 wins, 5 losses, no draws, 12 wins by way of knockout. He himself was knocked out. He is 35 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 73-inch arm reach. Okay, extremely long arms. They updated the status because initially they had Yordenis Ugas with 69-inch arms. Okay, not the longest arms in the world. But with that said, he stated that Keith Thurman is the target for late this year. Okay, November, December time. We know ERROL Spence, Terrence Crawford gonna fight, and he stated that we top 4, and we want the other guy, which is Keith Thurman. So Keith Thurman is the target opponent for them in their ring return, and he stated that they don't need and don't want any tune-ups. Okay, they have no interest in having tune-up fights, and they have no interest in fighting the upcoming new era coming up behind them. So Keith Thurman is the man that they're looking at. Okay, interesting fight. Keith Thurman, he stated that, he wanted to fight Yordenis Ugas when Yordenis Ugas was the WBA champion. Keith Thurman was the WBA champion at one point in time. He lost his belt to Manny Pacquiao. So, Keith Thurman is saying that, the goal was to initially get back in title contention. Okay, that's what Keith Thurman's goal is. But in this case, is Keith Thurman going to be willing to, fight Yordenis Ugas coming off of a 10th round stoppage loss, a bad, brutal loss, or is Keith Thurman going to look to fight one of these young guys? Now, a lot of people is calling for Keith Thurman to face off against Yordenis Ugas. Okay, against Jaron Boots Ennis, okay? But is Keith Thurman willing to accept that type of a challenge? You know, Keith Thurman hasn't been the most active guy himself, okay? Keith Thurman, you know, he came back after a 2.5-year layoff against Mario Barrios. Not the best performance by Keith Thurman, but he was back in the ring, okay? So with that said, you know, this is a good fight for Keith Thurman. It's a good fight for Yordenis Ugas stylistically. You know, it's a great fight, in my opinion, for both guys. And obviously, Keith Thurman wants the biggest names, but Keith Thurman is the WBC mandatory challenger. So he's in position to fight the winner, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. But obviously, Terrence Crawford did an interview today in which Terrence Crawford, he stated that after Errol Spence, he's moving up to 154. He wants to fight Jermell Charlo. So the winner of this fight, no doubt, is going to vacate those belts. So Keith Thurman is going to more than likely have to go through Virgil Ortiz Jr., Jaron Ennis, somebody that magnitude to be able to pick up another belt. Okay, he's not going to fight Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, or like I said, he's looking to retire after he beat Errol Spence and Jermell Charlo. That's his plan. And Errol Spence is looking to move up, and he has no interest in fighting Keith Thurman. So with that said, I don't see Keith Thurman getting the opportunity to fight either one of these guys, Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence. And I do believe that, you know, this is a good fight for Keith Thurman if he's not going to take the risk of fighting Jaron Ennis or Virgil Ortiz in his next fight, okay? So, you know, he has Yordenis Ugas goes to the body very well, okay? Yordenis Ugas has a very good jab. We saw him when he faced off against Errol Spence. You know, he gave Errol Spence problems, okay? He was countering Errol Spence. He go to the body very well. He's very rangy. He's very big. He's very strong. You know, he don't have the most power in the world, but he does, you know, have respectable power, okay? He has a very high ring IQ, and his boxing skills is off the charts. Okay, so with that said, you know, this is a huge fight for Keith Thurman. It's a huge fight for Yordenis Ugas. You know, Keith Thurman will get credit at this stage and where he's at currently if he beats Yordenis Ugas. For sure. Keith Thurman gets credit if he beats Yordenis Ugas, okay? So with that said, you know, I think that, you know, this is a fight that would be good for both guys. You know, I would personally like to see Keith Thurman versus Jaron Ennis. But stylistically, I think that Jaron Ennis, 5'10", 74-inch arm reach, switch from southpaw to orthodox, fast hands, fast feet, complete package, bad style matchup. Keith Thurman may not get to a title opportunity. It may better suit Keith Thurman to fight, beat Yordenis Ugas, than fight Jaron Ennis for a title, or a title, you know, vacant title or something of that magnitude. I think his style, Keith Thurman's style against Virgil Ortiz Jr. would be suitable, you know, but this is a good fight for Keith Thurman. Both guys, you know, Keith Thurman needs to get back in the thick of things, and Yordenis Ugas wants to get back in the thick of things, right? So Yordenis Ugas, he beats Keith Thurman, and well, now he's back in title contention, right? So it's good for both guys. Now, also ISMAEL Salas, he stated that Terrence Crawford has no chance to beat Errol Spence. He said if the Errol Spence that fought us shows up, right? And he says that he has no chance in beating Errol Spence. He said that Errol Spence is just too good, just too big, and just too strong. He said, now, you can hurt him if you clip him. He said, but how many people can hurt him? How many people's going to clip him, right? He said that, so, you know, he believes that Errol Spence is going to beat Terrence Crawford. He said that, you know, he just has no chance in beating, you know, Terrence Crawford. He just can't do it. Errol Spence. So he says that, you know, Errol Spence is not just the best welterweight in the world. He said that Errol Spence is the best fighter in the world. So that's high praise from ISMAEL Salas, right? Not only is Errol Spence the best welterweight in the world, but he says that Errol Spence is the best fighter in the world. He's pound for pound the #1 best fighter in the world, okay? So let's listen to what ISMAEL Salas had to say regarding Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford.
Hit Spence, he can get hurt, but the problem is who can hit him.
He said, see, Spence can get hurt, but the problem is who can hit him.
You know what I mean?
Can Crawford do it? What do you think?
Yeah, But if Spencer go the same way he did to Ugas, no way Crawford can beat Spencer.
Even with the counter punch and the
Yeah. I tell you, the version of Spencer this last fight is number one welterweight and number one pound for pound, definitely.
So he said not only is he number one welterweight, but he's number one pound for pound. Definitely the best fight in the world. And that version of Errol Spence that fought us shows up against him. He said there's no doubt that he beats Terrence Crawford, and there's no way that Terrence Crawford could beat him. So obviously that's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. And maybe we could see Keith Thurman versus Yordenis Ugas as the co-main event. That would be huge, right? If Yordenis Ugas is healthy and his eye is healthy, he don't have any lingering effects, him and Keith Thurman's a 50-50 fight, especially at this stage of Keith Thurman's career. Like I said, he goes to the body very, very well, okay? Sean Porter attests to that, and Sean Porter praises the fact that Yordenis Ugas goes to the body very, very well. So he stated that, he believes that, his body work would be a problem for Keith Thurman. And I agree. I think that Keith Thurman vulnerability to the body would show up big time against Yordenis Ugas. And if that's the case, Yordenis Ugas could make a comeback. He beats Keith Thurman and arguably beats Sean Porter and beat Manny Pacquiao. That speaks volumes. So obviously he has to get healthy. When Kell Brook suffered this injury, he came back, he fought Errol Spence in 9 months. So you say if Yordenis Ugas comes back and fights Keith Thurman in December, that's about the 9-month mark. Okay, he fought Errol Spence April 16th. So you say 2 weeks in April. You stay May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. About 8.5 months. That's about on the same par Kell Brook and Errol Spence fought. So after he suffered the eye injury. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.